Hey everyone, so I just wanted to talk about something that's been nagging at me for a while. When I left the Jehovah's Witnesses a few years ago, my believing social group at the time started spreading complete falsehoods about me. For those of you leaving, don't be fooled. People are still people. The Jehovah's Witnesses are not above manufacturing utter fictions so you can fit into their narrative that the devil has somehow commandeered this vessel. The out-and-out lies alleged that I had protested inside the Kingdom Hall at a memorial while the bread was being passed around. So part of this video is just to correct the record, but the other part of it really was a fascinating story you might get a chuckle from. The only element they got correct was that I was at the Kingdom Hall where it's true there was a protest, but I wasn't involved in it. I believe this was back in either 2016 or 17. I'm thinking it was 2016 because I'm not sure Trump was president yet. So anyway, it's true that I had already left the Jehovah's Witnesses intellectually. I had no belief. I was there with someone else, and at this point in time, I went because it had quite honestly been a while since I was even at a meeting. And I guess I just went out of curiosity. I wanted to check out the wildlife. By the way, those of you ExJW's out there, have you ever done that, just gone to a meeting for the hell of it? Let me know in the comments below. So anyway, there I was at this memorial, and it was very typical. The talk was forgettable and overly sentimental. And just as the host was being passed around, a guy in the row behind me on the other end stood up and addressed the audience saying the Jehovah's Witnesses are an end times doomsday cult. He managed to say a number of things before he was finally ushered out of the building. I'd say he spoke for about 2 or 3 minutes, which is almost an accomplishment. The dude deserved an award for at least that much. You can imagine the tension in the room, can't you? 2 to 3 minutes is an eternity of propaganda to a Jehovah's Witness. Anyway, he brought up the Australian Royal Commission inquiry and said there may very well be pedophile elders in your midst, to which I was thinking, yeah, it's quite likely. He spoke about the lack of financial transparency, investing in military organizations and tobacco companies. He mentioned long historical ties to the Freemasons, and even the failed end-time prediction of 1975. I was actually quite impressed with how many things he touched on within a couple or few minutes. Then, at the end, he directed everyone to look up either jwsurvey.org or jwfacts.com. I can't remember which one. Of course, the brothers there handled him very gently, all things considered. 2 of them came on either side, holding his arms, and guiding him to the side exit, which was mercifully within about 10 feet of where they were standing. They kept saying firmly, "Sir, you can't be interrupting the service like this. You have to leave." And he finally complied, so the speaker went up on stage, and all he said was, "That message was not authorized by the Jehovah's Witnesses. We're very sorry you had to hear such things." I was absolutely shocked that the speaker didn't deny the allegations or say the fellow was lying. All he said was what I told you and went straight into introducing the wine. When we were finished the memorial, we got in our cars and left the parking lot. And we noticed on the sidewalk he had a sandwich board and was wearing placards advertising one of the 2 aforementioned websites. The same brothers who ushered him out were speaking with him. I don't know why they stayed with him outside the property, probably to prevent believers from chatting with him afterward. It was quite a remarkable experience because everything he said was truthful. But there are a few things I want to say about what happened. The first thing is, this is possibly the worst way of protesting I think I've ever seen. It was a total train wreck. It would have been better had he just set up outside on the sidewalk and waited for people to drive by. The fact that he interrupted an event in their own property was completely classless. I agreed with the guy on what he was saying, but I thought he was a moron for doing it the way he did. It's like, how about I show up and hijack your wedding with a protest? The second thing is that I don't know if his protest even did very much good. I was looking around in the audience, both during and even after he left, and people were more or less in shock. Lots of sidelong glances, heads bowed, whispering, and plenty of disgust. And I can pretty well guarantee you that everyone thought he was a lunatic. I would say of all the people there, I would have been his greatest sympathizer, and even I thought the guy was a total goon. Anyone sensible enough to question their beliefs would have dismissed his claims as befitting such lunacy. Now the third thing is, I actually think due to the way the witnesses handled it, They were the ones who came off looking far more credible. The fourth thing I'd like to say is I don't know if a whole lot of good has ever been accomplished through public protesting, certainly inside or even outside the event. I mean, every now and then you do hear of people getting up and walking out the Kingdom Hall when they see the protesters set up outside. But these are rare occurrences, and people are pretty well convinced at that point anyway. It's more of an organized walkout, in my opinion. The other thing is, as an activist, you can't really engage anyone. Supposing a brother or sister comes up and asks questions, they know they're taking a huge risk of being told off by fellow members to avoid apostates. They even run the risk of being shunned themselves. The only thing I suppose protesting does is drive people to the websites that are advertised. But again, anyone who's on the fence knows where to find negative press on the witnesses. It's all they can do in most cases to ignore it in their feeds and socials. So those are my thoughts. I don't know. Tell me in the comments below what you think about all this. Do you think it works? I'm willing to change my opinion on it, but overall, I've not been impressed. Now, I do think that YouTube channels, websites, chat rooms, support groups, they do a lot of good. I know several people who've received much help through those venues, so I'd never want those to disappear. There are many people out there putting up very well-sourced information online and assisting believers to think outside the box. But I don't know, tell me below what you think about protesting at meetings, memorials, assemblies, and conventions. Do you think it's effective? Now, the last thing I'd like to say is about this lie being spread around that I was the one who protested. Interestingly, this was originated by someone who lives up island from here. I live in Victoria. There happens to be an elder I know in Nanaimo who's a very credibly accused pedophile. His alleged victim suffered constant harassment and online bullying right up until she committed suicide. This has been reported to the branch, but for whatever reason, they still haven't removed him as an elder. Anyway, you're likely aware of how word gets around when there's a protest at a memorial. He must have put two and two together that I was at that same hall and went around saying that I was the protester. He knows that I actually have some seriously damning things I could tell about him and make public. So I guess this must have been his very predictable attempt at doing what most abusers like doing prior to being outed. And that is, discredit all of their victims. But that'll have to be saved for a future video when this channel has a larger audience and can have its maximal effect. So anyway, to set the record straight, while I agreed with what the protester said, no, it wasn't me. It's not my style. Tell me what you think of all that below. Maybe leave some comments as well regarding similar lies that may have been spread about you when you were leaving, so others know what kind of stuff to expect when they make their exodus from this organization. That's it for today. Thanks as usual for watching, and we'll see you again very soon. This is Derek London. Until then. Hey guys, did you like this video? You know what to do. And if something I mentioned today resonated with you, click one of them cards on this screen. I have lots of related content sure to interest you. Thanks as always for your views, and we'll see you next time.